at Zero Limits 3, I had the honor of being able to play guitar during the meals there. And when I was playing, I got one of the largest compliments ever. When Dr. Hulen walked in the room, he walked in, of course, everybody, and he walked right past and came right over to me. And he said, "I can see your music cleaning while you play." And I'll never forget that because I was like, wow. And then he was like, I think I was selling them for $10. He's like, "I don't have $10. And I go, "Here." I said, "Please take it. Take it, take it." Here's the funny part, though. I don't think I've ever told anybody this. He goes, "No, no, no. Here, I have a 20. They need to see me buy it from you." He was helping me out. And sure enough, I sold quite a few that weekend, which was great. So this CD was about a lot of changes. And that night, I also got to speak with Dr. Len and Mabel Katz and discussing, because I was so excited that he could see my music cleaning, and it was what I really wanted to do. And I bounced the idea off of him about putting this subliminal mantra underneath and how that would work. And they were both very encouraging. And they also went on to talk about, I was like, "So what, I clean my guitar, I should talk to my guitar?" Because, still trying to get into all this. And you should thank the hand cart that's toting the guitar, And so I realized real quick, I was like, this is very special. So this CD will always be very special to me because it connected me with Joe the first time, and then with Dr. Len was very nice. So, yep, everybody got one? Yeah. All right. Yay. Now, in your gift packet that you got, you also received the third album that Joe and I did that was 432 to 0. And 432 was quite an inspiration because for a long time I had been told about 432 hertz. Normally, music is at 440 hertz. That's the standard Western tuning for most of the time. But there's a huge movement pushing to where people are actually taking music and having it changed to 432. And then I went and started researching it deeper because a friend of mine had done it. And then I hit it with Joe, and Joe was like, "We have to do that. This is what we have to do." And so just a few things about it. When you're listening to the CD, if you feel the vibration of it, this is the little bit different thing on that CD. It's wildly believed that it creates a natural rhythm for spiritual evolution, because that's the idea of being at the frequency of 432 hertz. It's called the Harmony of the Spheres, which was created in 600 BC by a Greek mathematician and astrologer, Pythagoras. So pretty old. Now, there's a lot of evidence for it. I'm just going to go over just a couple quick things to make it fast here. But does everybody know what a Stradivarius violin is? Okay, it's the world's greatest violin. I wish I had a few of them. Stradivarius actually built the instrument to be tuned to 432 hertz, to be perfect. And then we come along and mess it up and crank it up. So it played at 432. And there's all kinds of evidence that goes on and on. I mean, there was points in time where it was illegal to not record your music, I shouldn't say record because it was so long ago, to perform your music unless it was at 432 hertz. And then my favorite is when Nike made the Tiger Woods golf ball, the scientists determined that 432 dimples was the exact correct number of dimples for the ultimate golf ball. So that sells it, right? All right. Let's do another one of these real quick before they kick me out of here, or before Joe comes up. Howard, do we have a time check? Or are we still just rolling with it? We're rolling. All right, rolling. I'll just say it now. You're all getting one of these, higher octaves. Okay. I want to talk about this album because this album, the biggest difference on this album, and Joe's going to come up, and we have kind of a process that we've been developing for quite some time that can be applied to basically anything. And we're going to share that process with you. And then we're going to actually, after clearing and doing that, we're going to try to improvise something And we'll talk about that later. But in doing that, we had finished 432 to 0. We may have done some meditations in between, I don't remember. But when it came time to do higher octaves, we both had this inspiration to do something a little more upbeat. Something, because everything we've done so far has been very meditative, and we enjoy doing that. When it feels right, it's right. But this album needed to have more of a, you can cook to it. It's not going to put you to sleep. You can drive to it. It feels good. And for me, what I started to get the idea of doing, and I presented it to Joe, was my daughter at the time was listening to a lot of pop music that I would never listen to. And I started noticing that a lot of the music was really good. I thought, wow, these songs are really catchy. They feel good. I'm going, all right, Katy Perry's not that bad. This is not going to run out and buy the album, but I don't mind listening to it. And so I got really into it. I found out that there was a producer named Dr. Luke, and he was putting out all the music that I liked. Everything I liked that she was listening to, and I go, well, what's that one? I'd find out that Dr. Luke was producing it. So I actually started to go out and watch videos of how he recorded. What I related to was I was excited, and of course, for those of you who have kids, you live again through your children, and you get that experience. And so it was very much an inner child moment for me to watch her discovering her own music and it not being complete crap, which I liked that idea too. Something I could tolerate. I don't know, she's only 10 right now, so we'll see where it goes in the next couple of years, if I can hang in there or not. So anyhow, that's what this album is all about. And when I started talking to Joe about Dr. Luke and was explaining the beats and everything, that's the difference in this. Is it has a little bit more of an electronic in the background sound, but yet at the same time, it's still infused with all the hooponopono. And now you all have one, so I hope you enjoy it. Let's see. I can keep going. You guys want another CD? Just give them all away. I'm selling nothing today. In fact, I didn't even bring my card swiper thing, so please don't ask to buy. Going back to, again, following inspiration. Joe and I came up with the idea of creating an album of prayers. We all know that praying is a super important function. Whether it even be as simple as just working the mantra, Morning's prayer. Does everybody have Morning's prayer? Joe and I did an audio of that. It's free, so please get it. That is an incredible prayer. And then, of course, what we did is we have there's 4 tracks, and we have just the music, and the subliminal is underneath, and then there's 4 tracks where Joe actually says the prayers. And so you'll all get a copy of that too. The point I wanted to make about this was when we started recording at that point in time, sometimes we think, or we get the feeling, it's just time to go back in the studio and just start recording. So we do. We go back in. We don't necessarily know where it's going. And I still remember we were going to lunch, and we both had the idea we should do a prayers album because it needed to be done. So I hope you enjoy this one too. Bianca.
Hi. So I don't have a question. I just have a comment. Because when you were talking about like your CDs at 0 and 0 limits, you kind of minimized it. And those are actually my favorite CDs. And I don't mean to cry because there's a reason behind it. But Katerina, who arrived late today, she wasn't here yesterday. One of the things that she shared with me is that she loves the Ho'opono so much, and she wants to use it working with animals because she rescues animals.
Yes.
Which fast forwards me to when my dog was dying. Sorry.
That's
well,
okay.
Before she died, we would ride in the car, and I would always play the CDs at 0 and 0 limits. You had just mentioned earlier that it's good for anything. Well, it's even good for animals. Because when Ellie Mae was dying on Christmas Day a couple years ago, the time had come near. And I tried playing it at midnight, but I just moved, so I didn't have like a CD player or anything. So then luckily that day, on Christmas Day, I turned on YouTube, and I played at zero, her favorite piece, the track. And she literally was breathing difficult. She had difficulty breathing, and she lifted her head, and she wagged her tail like a propeller. And then she just smiled at me and said, "I love you," and she passed peacefully. So the point of this is that their music is so therapeutic and cleaning and clearing, and I just encourage everyone to always have it in your car, so no matter where you're driving, short or long distances, and even some of Joe's lyrics. One of my favorite songs that I always play all the time is "How You Never Have to Worry," and another song about love. And so the whole point is that their music, if you're going to play anything in your car, it's always play Zero Limits music, because it's the most cleaning and clearing and uplifting music you can ever listen to. And so thank you.
Thank you. Matthew, you were going to mention about the woman that was going to be your guest speaker. Can you tell her story? Because she plays the music.
Yeah, she does.
her-
Unfortunately, I had Dr. Meredith Erickson, and she works for a mental health facility. And when I met her, I gave her like everything that Joe and I did. I said, "Oh, please take these." And she was very interested, and she wanted to play them in the center. She immediately saw the results of the music being played. Specifically, and I should say she unfortunately couldn't be here today. She had a family emergency, so it couldn't happen, but things happen. But specifically, she was telling me about two things, which is number one, a lot of times the energy of the individuals that are there seeking help is very high. It makes it very difficult to work with them, it makes it difficult to calm them down. And so she started running the music. She would watch them just be much more mellow, come down and be at a much calmer pace and able to handle things. And then secondly, they have an art department there, and she plays it during art all the time for creativity. And she hit some really great stuff. She also plays it in her office all day long too. So, and we have several. Does your masseuse still play our album?
Oh, yeah. We
Yeah.
have, I know many massage therapists who
Super.
play our music. They do have a complaint, though. Most of our CDs last 35 minutes, and their clients want a 45-minute massage. And so, of course, we say, buy them all, play them back to back, massage people all day long, win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah, teach them where the repeat button
That's
is.
right,
Yeah,
that's
that,
right.
that would also help. Yes.
And I go to something called Alpha Biotics. In fact, the woman who does Alpha Biotics, it's not chiropractic, I have to say that right off the bat, but it's a physical alignment with just the top of your neck, and it works to physically align your spine. She's actually the woman who told me about Zero Limits, and actually told me the phrases first. And I'm going to share this story real quick because I remembered it last night when someone else was telling a story. I'd completely forgotten about it. When I got back to the room, I was telling my wife about it. She says, "You never told me this." I said, "I didn't remember it. In fact, you don't know. Nobody knows because I just remembered last night."
Wow.
When I left, when she had told me the 4 phrases, and she says, it's this book, it's called Hooponopono. She could say it correctly. And she said, it's this book by Joe Vitale, which I'd already read, The Attractor Factor. And she said, all you have to do is say these 4 phrases, and here they are. And so I was doing the 4 phrases, and I had at the time, was my 1-year-old daughter with me. I left right out of there and went to the bookstore. And I thought, I have to have this book. I go into the bookstore, I go right to the self-help section. And I've been doing my cleaning, I'm still doing it. I don't even know what it is yet. Don't even know who Dr. Hulin is. And it's not there. It's not in the bookstore. And she said they had it there. And I was like, geez. And so I kept looking, and I'm cleaning, and I'm doing my cleaning, even though I don't even know what cleaning is at that point. And I was confused by it, because I'm like, cleaning? Like I don't like cleaning. I don't want to. I don't want to dust and mop, and I don't like to vacuum. This sounds horrible. So, and then all of a sudden somebody came up and they said, "Are you finding what you need?" And I said, "No, I'm looking for this book, Zero Limits by Joe Vitale." He goes, "Well, let me check it in the computer." Pulls it up and says, "Oh, we have one copy left." And I was thinking, "Oh, I've been all over the self-help place." Meanwhile, I got my 1-year-old in the thing. And is it Wiley? Is that the publisher? Mm-hmm. So the publisher, Wiley, wasn't necessarily known for self-help. So what happened was, they took me over to, they go, "Oh yeah, that's in marketing. I thought you said it was a self-help book." I went, "I don't know, that's what they told me." But we went over to the marketing section, and there it was. But I'd completely forgotten that had even happened, because it really wasn't on my radar, because I didn't even know what I was doing at the time. And I forget one of the stories last night when they were talking about how they came to the book, and I was like, "How did I come to the book?" Oh yeah, my Alpha Biotics practitioner who plays Aligning to Zero on repeat all day long and has been doing it since it came out.
Not really a question, just a quick reference, since we've been talking about water and vibrations. So, as we know, our body is 70% water and our brain is 90% water. One of the reasons why there is so much violence in this world and so much anger, greed, and all the negative stuff is that initial structure of water molecule was modified. So what we can do as hooponopono practitioners is sending the divine love to every water molecule to restore its initial structure.
Ah.
So what I do is when I go to swim in the pool, I just send this love from the heart center and keep repeating, "I love you, I love you, I love you." And actually we can do it every time we get the contact with the water. So when you drink, when you wash hands, when you take a shower. So basically that's it.
Oh, that's great.
Excellent.
That's why I also think the blue solar water is so important. And going back to the chakras, did you notice the throat is blue? I made that connection. I was like, blue solar water, blue throat. Could be.
So when it comes to advanced Ho'oponopono, Matthew and I do a process for the creation of this music. And it's different than what other musicians do. Of course, I don't know all musicians, so I can't make that kind of a sweeping, accurate general statement. But the general idea, because I've made singer-songwriter albums with people that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And our process there is different than what Matthew and I do. I have fun doing both of them, but there's a purity and there's a sense of astonishment that comes from the way Matthew and I do it. The way that I do the singer-songwriter stuff, the music and the songs are still inspired, but there's a little bit of Joe chiseling out the words so I get my message across. In some ways, there's more work to it. When Matthew and I get together, we're often blown away by what we create. And I think part of our process, and this is something I'm telling you this partly to share what we do, but partly so you can apply it to your life. So I think one of the things, and I want you to chip in because we haven't talked about this in a public way, so I'm going to just kind of dump here and then you add to it. Okay. Or just tell me I'm wrong. And that's not what we do, Joe.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Where was I?
So the very first thing is we wait for inspiration, even for the intention to make another album. We meet almost every Tuesday, and on those Tuesdays we talk about a lot of things that are going on in our lives, as well as what we're planning to do next, and the marketing and the music and Ho'oponopono and what we're reading, what we're discovering. You know, it's a very exciting time. And we might speak that I'm feeling the itch to do another music CD. We might speak it, but we haven't actually decided. You know, we're waiting for something else to tell us. Now, he and I have the most conversations and the deepest conversations about Ho'oponopono. And that's why he is the co-creator of this advanced Ho'oponopono certification. This whole weekend is because both of us are doing this. But it's come from inspiration, even to do the advanced certification. This came from inspiration. When we are meeting together and we're kicking around ideas, we're actually both of us waiting for the whiteboard, the great something, the divine, to nudge us to say, you know what, you two need to go back into the studio. And when we both feel that, we'll check in with each other and we'll say, you know, I'm starting to feel that it's time to make another CD. And he'll either agree or disagree, but more often than not, I think you say, yeah, I've been feeling it too.
We're usually feeling it, yeah.
And so now we're starting to feel the nudge, the inspiration from the great something. His studio is over in New Braunfels, so I will drive over to his studio. It's called the Zero Limit Studio for a reason. But we don't go into the studio first. We go to the kitchen table.
With the coffee.
Well, yeah, that was what I was going to say next is coffee, very essential here. And we have a vocal clearing. I'm just making up that term right now. But it's the idea that we want to go into the studio as clear as possible. So we confide in each other what's going on in our lives.
Intentionally, by the way. We know specifically when we sit down and we're going to go record. And we usually end up spending more time clearing than we actually do recording.
We may actually be there. I might say I'm going to come over for 3 or 4 hours, 2 hours of which are talking.
Yeah.
And not about the music. It is about what we're struggling with. It's about whatever beliefs we've bumped up against. It's about our families, our lives, our goals, our disappointments. And all of that is to create a clearing. It is to dump everything that is the baggage that many of us carry around. It is to dump the baggage. We take turns doing this until we both feel, I think we both get to the point where we feel clear.
That's ready to go.
It's like, man, I'm out of things to complain about, more or less, you know. I wouldn't normally say that, but that's kind of what we're doing. We're bitching, we're moaning, we're complaining, but we're supporting each other to get clear. When we're clear, we can go into the studio. And now it's important to realize we still don't know what we're doing in the studio. We still don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
There might be a vague idea, like you talked about, the more upbeat music.
That one we had some rhythms to work with, but that was all. And in fact, a lot of them got changed eventually. They just kind of, they became whatever they were, but we had the intention idea of we think we should do some music that's more like this, so let's see how this feels. And it just took off. If it didn't take off, we would have had to possibly shut it down, wait for another time, see if we were really getting the nudge to go forward.
But that's only happened one time in years of creating that I can remember.
That's true, yeah.
That we actually went, hey, it ain't working today.
Nope.
Because more often than not, we go into the studio, I pick up the healing guitar, which is a guitar, it is a healing guitar. It has the I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, embossed in the neck. It's there. There's photos of it online. I can show it to you. It's the only one in the world. And it was made years ago. It is actually a clearing, healing guitar, and I will play that. But it's also important to know he's pretty much the sound engineer, so he's got to tune up, he's got to plug in, he's got to plug me in, and I'll be fooling around. I don't have anywhere near the years of experience, decades of experience that he does. I'm a newbie as a musician for the most part. But I'll just start playing.
With 16 albums.